A very good afternoon. You're watching NDTV Profit. I'm Tamanna Inamdar, and this is Market IQ. Let's take a quick look at what's happening in the markets. With me today is Smriti Choudhary on the show. Smriti is looking like a fantastic morning and a fantastic afternoon, isn't it? Just a quick look at how markets are doing. So the Nifty staying steady over the 21,500 mark. Not quite at the day's highs, and you're seeing that kind of a quiet note emerging. But what's working today? The story of the day definitely is IT stocks, because IT stocks are on a tear. The Accenture numbers have not bothered IT companies at all. The IT index, the Nifty IT, about 0.5% up. It was about 1.5% up earlier in trade as well. Banking stocks doing very well as in trade today. ONGC among the top Nifty gainers, and a whole host of reasons there as oil prices look like they're going to trend upwards because of the Red Sea crisis. Tata Consumer, Britannia, it's a good day for FMCG. Thanks to Varun Beverages in large part, but even so, Wipro, LTI, Mindtree, the other stunners of the day.
Well, let's get an update on today's listings as well. DOMS Industries is currently trading above 1,300 rupees after it made a strong debut. The stock listed at 77% premium over the issue price of 790 rupees per share. The company's IPO was subscribed 93.52 times and the issue size was 1,200 crore rupees. India Shelter Finance Corporation also made its D Street debut today after record subscriptions. My colleague Mimansa caught up with the management and spoke to them about the AUM growth trajectory. Listen in.
Actually, India Shelter believes in strong strategies when it's about execution. So the strong structure has been created across 15 states where we are operating through 15 branches. So we have a lot of scope going deeper into the geographies where we exist, as well as productivity is an important drive, which is paramount for us. We continue to, deliver on the productivity side. That is a thought. So I think it's a long runway, and fortunately, market is very great if you talk about in a housing sector, typically tier 2, tier 3 segment, which we cater. So I think we are quite optimistic about a future also. And yes, last few years has been great, thanks to God. And the market, which is important typically for the segment which we are dealing into, the salary segment, the income segment, which varies from 25,000 to 50,000. They are the people who actually are very clear, building their houses, put a lot of equity, and excited about it. So a lot of roller coaster which is supporting this piece, I think will lead to good results in future also.
So the industry perception is that affordable housing loans are one of the safest lending products. But we have seen some reports coming in that there are early signs of delinquency that we might see in affordable housing segment. So are there any concerns on that front at India Shelter Housing Finance?
Yes, when we say the affordable housing is considered to be safest segment, it's a reason because there's a lot of equity from customer side also, and this has been observed. And this is the first and foremost dream for anyone to build their own house, bone shelter, where we, take a support from, they take a support from institutions like us. So if you see, there are a mixed report around which you talk about it, but I think these reports majorly cater the larger cities, larger towns, if you talk about. So though you go to the real markets, which are deeper inside, basically in Indian geographies, there you find a real Bharat, which we cater. So we don't cater the suburbs of larger towns or cities. In fact, we go deeper into geographies where we find a quite cushion because of one, the equity from the customer side, and one, the growth prospect which is coming there.
So no delinquency, rise in delinquency, or any signs of any kind of stress building up in the tier 2, tier 3?
So if we see the March numbers last year and if we see the September mid numbers, so you'll not find much of a difference around that piece. I think there may be a couple of pockets here and there, but largely the number remains intact till now, and we are quite hopeful in future also.
So what is your sense on the borrowing cost? I believe it stands at around 8.3 right now at the end of FY23. But considering the interest rate environment and the liquidity conditions per se, do you expect the borrowing cost to rise for India Shelter Finance Corporation here on?
So we have a support from National Housing Bank that is always there. We look for a long-term funding, and Treasury team has worked stupendously well. Where the rate has gone, repo rate has gone up to the 250 bips. Our rate has been hardly get affected by 15-20 bips. That is one piece. Now, after Fed giving some cushion, I think that's going to impact Indian market. That is the optimism which I'm thinking of, right? Otherwise, but if you see with listing also, there is always a scope, and we would look forward and request rating agencies to relook our rating, and even the large institutions and some other treasury venues which comes out where I think the cost of fund we would like to take it up, keeping in either the same level or maybe little down.
Okay, and so what are the other sources of financing that you'll be looking at here on?
For us, banking is the biggest source. Then there are, some DFIs which support us. NHB is always the paramount when it's about the financing. Now, the pension funds and some insurance funds, those avenues can open, but I think this is too early to comment on that side.
And so what is the target for net profit and AUM growth in the coming years in, let's say, FY25 or FY24 end?
If you see, there's a consistency number from last 3 years, and knowing the market, being in the same market, delivering the productivity, I think we are optimistic about that quantity should be maintained even in future also.
So coming on to the last question, how do you ensure data protection and cyber security in the processes that India Shelter Finance Corporation follows? Because you're pretty huge reliance on technology for underwriting and collection processes, and we've seen a few instances in the recent past as well.
So we always are proactive in any kind of these actions to be taken. Obviously, in fact, all the data is on the cloud, basically cloud-based that way. And strong IT team, keeping in mind, we have a strong board member in terms of who have dealt these problems in past in their avatars. So we do our day in day out actions, whatever is required on that side. So we keep updating ourselves, and since we know the technology is paramount for us as building a business, that is an important avenue that we keep working basically.
Any numbers that are on the target for FY25 that you would like to give us?
I can only assure you that the trend which has been maintained till now, they are the healthy trend. That is a part of strategy, and we have that wish that we should continue in that direction. But I mean, giving any number as the juncture would be more like a forward-looking statement.
So India Shelter Finance Corp up about 13% to listing price, but the big listing pop for the day was from DOMS, the stationery maker. Just look at that stock. It's a 790 rupee issue price and is trending above 1,400 bucks right now. My colleague Hiral Dadia spoke to Rahul Shah, Chief Financial Officer of DOMS. Listen in to a slice of that conversation. That seems to be stuck, but you can go to our YouTube channel and our website for any other details on the DOMS listing price and, of course, all the top business stories, including that conversation. I'm moving on now to the other big story of the day, which is the RBI move from last night. Remember, it broke first on NDTV Profit. The alternative investment fund space has been the latest recipient of an RBI circular, which has demanded clarification from these companies from the regulator. On Tuesday, RBI barred banks and NBFCs from investing in AIFs, which have downstream investments into debtors' firms. Now, what does that mean exactly? I'm going across to Vishwanath Nair, who's breaking it down for us. Vishwanath, is the attempt essentially to stop evergreening of loans? Why has the RBI done this, and how will it impact the space?
Right, Tamanna. So yes, the RBI's move is directed toward evergreening of loans, specifically through the AIF route. Now, I'll tell you exactly what the RBI has done and break it down step by step, as you said. Firstly, the RBI has barred banks and NBFCs from investing in these AIFs if they have a downstream investment into debtor firms. Try and understand what debtor firms are. Basically, these are firms which have borrowed from these very same banks and NBFCs over the last 12 months or so. So if they have such a lending relationship, then those firms cannot accept investments from the AIFs, and those AIFs cannot accept investments from banks and NBFCs. That's one door closed. The other thing that the RBI said is that priority distribution models cannot be allowed. These are models where there are junior and senior tranches of investors who may get certain benefits. The senior tranches may get certain benefits over the junior ones, and the junior ones take on higher losses. So that's something that the RBI has completely barred. The RBI has also said lenders and NBFCs have 30 days to unwind their entire investment into these AIFs if they have such a downstream investment, of course. If they are not able to complete that unwinding within 30 days, then these banks and NBFCs have to make full provisions. Now, let's try and understand what the problem is from the AIF angle and what is a clarification that they're seeking from the regulator. What they're saying is that not all of the money that's coming from the banks and NBFCs is being used for refinancing or evergreening of loans as such within the system. So if you are saying that just bar this entire system completely, you are removing a critical source of capital for the AIF industry. And in cases of AIFs where banks or NBFCs are sponsors, if they withdraw their investments, then of course you will see AIFs even collapse. Earlier today, we had a conversation with Ishwar Kara, the CEO of Kotak Special Situations Fund, and this is what he had to say during that conversation.
All the Cat 2 AIFs will get impacted by this because I'm sure quite a large number of them would have sponsors who would be REs.
Right.
So whoever have got RE as their a sponsor and they're raising funds through that, they would be affected because they have to make sure that, and the other part is that even if we were to make this investment, it says that you need to provide 100% on that the RE needs to provide 100% on the entire investment.
Correct.
I think there should be a clarification saying that only to the extent of the end use going towards that company, right?
Understood. Okay.
In which the RE had an exposure.
So not the
Why
entire
should all
investment.
the other investments also be provided for? So I think that is another clarification which would be in order to clarify this position.
The last question
But all
from my
AIF
side.
Cat 2s will get affected if they have REs. And there are a whole lot of NBFCs who have actually invested in AIFs.
Understood. Last question from my side. There's a very tight 30-day deadline that the RBI has set for unwinding these investments. Who's the buyer at the other end? Is the market deep enough for these REs to exit these investments without it becoming a bit of an issue?
It will be a big challenge, Vishy, because understand that they're the sponsors. Most of them are also sponsors of the AIFs. And sponsor commitment is mandatory because of, let's say, it could range from anywhere from 5% to 25% of the corpus of the AIF. And because he's putting in that money, you are able to raise the balance, whatever, 75 to 95% from other LPs. So if you pull out the capital from the sponsor in 30 days, the whole AIF will collapse, right? The fund will collapse.
Another big story today. According to NDTV Profit sources, Blackstone has made a full exit in Embassy Office Parks REIT via mega block deal today. Saloni joins us. Saloni, tell us more about the deal and who are the buyers?
Right, Smriti, thanks for that. So Blackstone has made its full exit from Embassy Office Parks REIT at a price of rupees 316 per share. And what we know from our sources is that the company has raised about 7,100 crore from this deal. Now, what we have picked up from our sources is that existing investors such as Capital Group, Fidelity, Bain Capital, ICICI Mutual Fund, and HDFC Mutual Funds are the ones among the buyers. Now, they already had some stake in the REIT. And now through this deal, they have actually, raised stake on the same. And then SBI Mutual Fund is among the new investor that has, entered the company with, buying part of stake through this block deal. However, we do not have the details on how much stake they have picked up. And this comes, when after Blackstone was planning to sell stake, since the start of the year in Embassy, and they already sold few, stake even last year. So, but they did not get any, private equity buyers for that matter, given the valuation that they were asking. So, they feel, as per sources, is that this is the right time as per the current market boom that we are seeing. So that's what we've picked up.
All right, thank you for that, Saloni, there with those exclusive details. We've also learned SBI Mutual Fund is a new entrant into the entire embassy REITs space. And of course, many players have upsized, as Saloni said. Now, let's move across to some interesting data that has come in. TRAI has put in subscription numbers for telecom companies for the month of September. These do usually come in with a lag. And some of those numbers, let's just go through them. Reliance Jio has added 34.8 lakh subscribers in September. Bharti Airtel has added 13.2 lakh. Vodafone Idea lost 7.5 lakh subscribers, and BSNL lost 23.3 lakh subscribers. Now, it's a space, Smriti, that you cover very carefully and closely. What is the big headline out of this? Because Vodafone Idea has been consistently losing subscribers in any case, and Jio has been gaining at their expense.
Right, you're right about that. But the main news point here from what I see is that last month, in the month of August, Vodafone Idea only lost about 49,000 active subscribers, right? And this month it has grown to 7.49 lakh. So big jump there in terms of losses. Just to point out that last month it may be on the account of a scheme in Rajasthan, which was before the elections, Congress government has started with a scheme to distribute mobile connections to a certain group of people, which is why we saw this immediate decrease in number of losses, but it's back again, and Vodafone Idea continues to lose with lower ARPU, huge debt, and on the other hand, if you look at Airtel and Jio, continue to gain subscribers. Airtel plays more of a premium game here with they have a higher ARPU as well as compared to Jio. But if you look at just the wireless numbers, Jio added about 34.7 lakh mobile subscribers this month, a rise of 7% from the previous month, whereas Airtel added 13.2 lakh compared to 12.17 lakh in August. That's the data. That's the main points for the data. But we'll talk about more news on NDTV Profit. But before that, let's slip into a short break. We'll see you on the other side. Stay tuned.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Market IQ. Let's take a look at market health. And yes, it has slipped from its highs below the 21,500 mark now on the Nifty, and moving towards perhaps negative zone. So a bit of selling pressure coming in there. And now one space which is also feeling the heat, but not to that extent, is the IT pack. The IT pack has been buoyed despite broadly understanding that the Accenture numbers which came out last evening India time shows that all's not necessarily well. And Accenture, remember, is the biggest player globally, and it's Quarterly numbers are often seen as a weather vane of what could follow for Indian IT companies. Now, why is that the case? Tushar joining us for more details on that. Tushar, is there anything fundamentally different happening for Indian IT companies? Because one would assume that they're suffering the same pain that Accenture is feeling.
Thank you for tossing back to me this one. So they are what we are getting from the Accenture results is that the Nifty IT has jumped today from being the top loser yesterday on expectations that the pain is going to be over. So basically, investors are looking at a more long-term thing. So Accenture has maintained its guidance for the full year FY24 at 2 to 5%, but there is near-term pain that the company is seeing in Q2. So that is being discounted by the investors who have pushed up Nifty IT today. So if you look at the numbers, we are saying that the deals are still coming in, but they're still not converting into revenue. So this is the same pain point that Indian IT companies have faced in the last 4 quarters. Discretionary spending is still largely absent because that's reflecting in Accenture's consulting revenue that we are seeing. Accenture's North America revenue has shrunk 1%. Again, North America is Indian IT companies' biggest market. Again, that is a problem that we are seeing. So essentially, Nifty IT is discounting all these factors so far. And this has been pointed out by Moshe Khatri of Wedbush Securities, who spoke to us this morning. And he said, my biggest concern is that the street is a bit ahead of itself in its excitement about the next 6 to 12 months. The street is forgetting that there is some uncertainty, at least for the next few quarters. So it seems like the expectations are a bit more aggressive right now. Also, we have to remember that BFSI revenue for Accenture was up 2%. The CMT revenue was down 2%. Why I'm mentioning this? Why I mention this is because of the fact that TCS and Infosys are relatively placed because of the BFSI growth that Accenture has seen. HCL also will gain on the product side because Accenture's product business has grown about 4%. So again, a positive there. The grim situation is for Wipro because consulting revenue has been flat for Accenture and the guidance is also not correct. Tech Mahindra's revenue will be revenue runway is still hazy. LTI Mindtree may gain at the expense of the top tier players.
Right. Thank you, Tushar. It seems like the Nifty mid-caps are set to gain over large caps. But talking about an NBFC, Satin Credit Care, we spoke to HP Singh to get a sense of collection efficiencies, and here's what he had to say.
So if I give you our collection efficiency rates, which we actually look at it, our recovery rates are closer to about 99.5%, and that technical can tell you how the collection efficiency as well as delinquencies are panning out in the entire space as such. As to your point of that, there is no clear sign. I think, if you look at the demand in terms of credit, I think, that demand is pretty robust, But if you really look at, I'm not able to really say much on the FMCG product space in the rural side, I think, that is something which is probably very different from how we really look at the demand for credit in the rural space. So I think, over here, I think it's all positive. The delinquencies are under control. The growth is, the momentum is there. I think, this is all positives, which are probably coming in for us in the microfinance space as such.
All right, so Satin Credit Care there. Another stock that we should talk about is Varun Beverages, which, has had a stellar day because of acquisition that they're going to be doing in South Africa. Even that's come off its highs. Market under a bit of pressure led by PSU banks right now. But let's talk about another big story. So an exclusive interview was given to the Financial Times by Prime Minister Modi, who spoke about the impact on India-US ties due to the ongoing debate of an Indian national allegedly conspiring to assassinate American-Canadian citizen who's a Khalistani terrorist, Gurpatwant Singh Pannoon. So now that's an allegation that has been made. Has that put any pressure on Indo-US ties was the question that was posed to Prime Minister Modi. He said he will be examining these allegations, but also said that, and I quote, if someone gives us any information, we would definitely look into it. He further added that if a citizen of ours has done anything good or bad, we're ready to look into it. Our commitment is to the rule of law. But the important thing that he said is that an incident like this cannot derail India-US ties. So that's all the time we have on this edition of Market IQ, but stay tuned, a lot more coming up on NDTV Profit.